I love the wall, man.
Thank you.
Got all the collectibles in there. Is that Astro Boy?
Yeah, there's a bunch of Astro Boys. There's some more Astro Boy stuff over there.
Nice.
My name's Adam McArthur. I am a voice actor. I am the English voice of Yuji Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen. You might also know me as Marco Diaz from Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Reno Ichikawa from Kaiju number 8. I'm also the voice you've been listening to for a really long time if you turned on Disney XD, because I'm the guy who tells you, we'll be right back on Disney XD.
I kind of wanted to just start a little bit back at the beginnings. We do have a lot of aspiring voice actors that watch our channel, as well as some of us, myself included. I wanted to ask you, when did you get into voice acting, or anime voice acting in particular? I know it's been maybe a little over 25 years or so. So I just wanted to kind of go back to the beginning of when this path actually started for you.
Dude, the path started very young for me. I pretty much always wanted to do VO. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to do cartoons. I wanted to do all this stuff from a pretty early age. My first paid professional job was in 1998. It was a Macy's radio commercial. It was like a back to school commercial. They needed a bunch of young teen voices, and the acting class that my parents put me in, I had begged for years to be put in. The teacher saw some promise, I guess, and let me audition for those things. And then my anime journey didn't come till much later. I kind of went away from voiceover in the early 2000s. I was doing a lot of on-camera commercials, and came back to VO in like 2009, 2010. LeBron James had an animated series. That was kind of one of the first.
You were involved in that?
Yes, I was in that. I voiced a character named Eric, and then a bunch of other like little random characters. Star Wars: The Clone Wars came after that. Then I was on a Disney show called Star vs. the Forces of Evil.
Yep.
And it wasn't until that show was ending that I was like, all right, well, crap, what's next? You know, what am I going to do? And at that time, I was watching My Hero Academia. And I was like, dang, it sounds like these actors are having an amazing time. And I hit my agent up, and we had a long conversation about it. And yeah, basically the next 6 months, I auditioned for 2 anime. The first one was My Hero Academia. I didn't get anything in that. And then the second one was Jujutsu Kaisen. So
well, yeah, that's all she wrote.
That was 2019 going into 2020. So.
And was there a reason you didn't branch into anime earlier, or was it like were you already a fan? Because I see all the stuff in the background too, so you were already actively watching things like My Hero Academia. Was there any specific thing that was kind of holding you back from changing lanes per se?
To be honest, just like knowledge about the access of it. Oh, there are studios here in LA that do it. For whatever reason, it was just kind of like not something the agency that I'm with did. It was just a matter of me asking, and then kind of like diving into that space. So
nice.
That's how it all kind of worked out. Yeah.
You have any familiarity with Jujutsu Kaisen when you auditioned for it? Did you know you were going for Yuji, or was that always the character you were aiming for?
I think it's a strength, actually, but this is going to sound like a negative. I'm kind of an oblivious actor. There's a lot of people who get really invested early on in projects, and they like gun for roles and stuff. That's never really been my style. I kind of just like to let what comes to me come to me. What's for me will be for me. That way, I think it's helped me not be disappointed when things don't go my way.
Less heartbreak.
So no, when I got the audition, I had reached out to a couple of people that I know who are familiar with the manga scene in Japan and stuff like that. And they said, hey, this one's got a lot of hype. So I was like, okay, cool, And yeah, I wasn't necessarily gunning for Yuji, but I read for Megami, I read for Gojo, I read for Yuji, and I read for Sukuna. I got to submit auditions for all 4 of those. And just historically, with the kind of roles that I booked, Yuji fell right in the place of like, oh yeah, this makes sense to me.
It fits. even with you saying, I know you're talking about when it comes to searching for roles, that sort of oblivious nature kind of resonates with Yuji in that way too. He's just kind of like, yeah, if it's for me, why not? Why shouldn't I do this? I heard you previously talk about how that process for the Disney XD voiceover was very stringent. How do you compare that to the anime scene? You just said you submitted for like Megami, Gojo, and all these. Yeah. Was it less intensive to do the anime, which someone might think would be more
Yeah, no, it was way less intense. I had no callback for Yuji. I sent in my first audition. I think it was on like a Thursday, and Monday I found out that I was going to be playing Yuji. It was that fast. The process is the anime production. The speed at which it happens is so quick.
They got to move. Yeah.
But it's just the production limitations require fast casting. So no, the process for the Disney XD job was probably over like 6 or 7 months, and I had to wait a weekend to find out that I voiced Yuji. So
dang,
yeah.
Disney, man, yeah, unnecessarily long lengths of time.
It's crazy. Yeah, I said really early on to somebody, to my friend Caitlin Glass. She's a legend in the VA space. She was Winry Rockbell in Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's a director. She directed Solo Leveling. She's incredible, and she's been doing anime forever. And I said to her really early on when I started working in anime, I'm like, man, anime's easy. And I didn't mean. She was like, excuse me. I'm like, no. I meant auditioning for something on a Thursday and finding out on Monday. That's easy. Like, that's nice. Then you can either whether it goes your way or not, you can let it go, or you can be excited.
Yeah, you're not carrying it around with you everywhere. Like, when am I going to hear about that? When am I going to hear back about that? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Not only that too, but then usually like once you find out, it's rarely a long time before it comes out. Most of the time it's like a week and a half, and then all of a sudden you can talk about it. So yeah, for that reason, it's easy. Whereas like, the Disney show I did, Star versus the Forces of Evil, I was recording that for 1.5 years before it even aired. So couldn't, that process is a long time.
Yeah, it's a lot of time to keep quiet and not be able to like share the excitement that you have for going into the role. You were talking about how quick anime moves, but I think you agree with me that maybe a large part of why people do lean towards the sub is just because of the 2-week lead time, that people don't want to be spoiled on the age we live in, where you'll see a meme, you'll see things posted the hour after an episode is released. How are some anime able to get a simulcast going? How are some just a couple weeks behind, and then others takes a month sometimes to even get it going?
Bro, you're asking all the questions that we all wish we all knew.
I didn't think you knew, but I was like, let me ask the source.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have a little bit of insight on it. I mean, I don't obviously work in production at Crunchyroll and stuff, but what it seems like is that a lot of it comes down to the licensors. So it comes down to the studios producing the anime in Japan and what they want. And a lot of times, if it's not simuldub, it is, or simulcast, it's because they want the Japanese to release first. And whether that means they're trying to hold on to a little bit of control as far as like what is watched the most, or watched first, or how it's watched and all that stuff. I loved that for Kaiju number 8, we got to do English and Japanese at the same time. I think it's really smart, not to like, stoke any fires about the sub and dub debate, but the president of Crunchyroll has come out and said that more people watch in English in the United States than they do in Japanese. So it is what it is.
Yeah. With a show like JJK, there can be a lot going on. My friend Chris, who he watches with us, sometimes he calls it the exam, because we react to it, and our audience can be very like, you guys didn't fucking pick up on this, like how could you miss this? And it's because we watch it in the sub because we want to make sure we're on top of the algorithm and everything. But I will often rewatch it in the dub and be like, okay, now I can actually appreciate the beautiful animation that I'm seeing, while not trying to like read at a breakneck speed and process some of the rules and information and exposition laid out.
Yeah. The animation is incredible. The anime adaptation of the manga has been, I just think, so good. I think we're so spoiled with it. And what's cool is, I mean, to be honest, and I do this too with a lot of animes, I watch it in both, and I know a lot of people watch it in both. Sometimes they'll watch first in sub because of the 2-week delay, and then they'll go back, and once a bunch of episodes are out in dub, they'll go back and watch it. I think we're spoiled with both casts. I do think the English cast is really strong, and season two was incredible. So I'm very proud of how season 2 turned out. I'm really excited how season 3 is going so far. So yeah, last week I recorded the episode that's coming out today, the Tengen episode. which is another one of those that like I keep making jokes online. I posted a video that it was like a fake Daily Mail article.
Yeah.
It had a picture of me and like the slow zoom with like the intense music. And the headline said, English voice actor teaches himself Japanese to confirm the culling game rules are just as confusing in sub.
Yeah, we literally paused and went back and forth like, okay, boom, boom. And then there was the summary at the end. Like, shit, we could have just paused it at this ending summary screen.
But it is funny. I do think that this is going to be an episode for the sub watchers to tune into, so you can be like, oh, I get
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, a little more gears turning. Like, all right, I get it now. There are some words in Japanese that also just don't quite translate in a caption as well as if it was adapted in vocally. You said you're recording like episodes out right now.
Correct. Yeah. So production cycle works like, so this week we'll see the newest episode. Next week I'll record it, and then the week after it's on. So that's your 2-week delay.
Gotcha.
And again, it's not us. It's not us doing it. A lot of people in my comments are like, anything but dubbing season 2 or season 3. You know, get back in the studio. Why do we have this
like,
2-week delay?
What are you eating? What are you living life? I know it's stuff that can be found online sometimes, but we live in a society where it's, short form video like this sort of answer might get a little traction. People want to click on that, like, oh, I want to hear Yuji Itadori explain the how that works.
It's also weird. I don't know why it has to be the way it is with anime. It's one of the things that is sort of, it bothers me, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many pieces of the puzzle and no one's putting it all together. Like, just tell people like, hey, this is why we have a 2-week delay. Like, just say it.
At least say when we can expect it.
Yeah, if it's from the licensor too, like, hey, licensing wants a 2-week delay because they want everyone to watch it in sub first. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, at least we know now. Attack on Titan in particular, those series finale movies, because I had a friend group, we were watching the sub, and then I have another friend group we watch in dub, and it was like, I feel like close to 7-8 months before we even heard an announcement of like the dub's coming, and we're like, dang, man. And you kind of just answered this already, but I was going to ask you, do you read the manga ahead of time when you do this? Does that help you inform where the story is going? Does that help you inform the scenes that you're doing, or do you still just try to live in that moment as Yuji, interpreting as it's coming along with him, trying to block out what you might know is happening in the future?
No, I am of the belief that reading the manga is vital to the success of the performances. I think it's really important to know where things are going. And again, because we're working in such a fast paced production timeline, I think it's important for me to go in with all the tools necessary so that if the director misses something, or there's something confusing, there have already been things like that have happened in, I mean, you see it in the sub too, like the whole malevolent kitchen thing,
Yep.
Like,
it's like, I don't remember that from season 1, but
there is stuff that slips through the cracks in all sides of it. Even in, like, if there was no subtitles and you were just watching it in Japan, there was things in season 2 that came out that were mistakes that we see when we're slowing these lines down and going back through things. There's moments where Inoki-san is throwing a car. Junya Inoki, Yuji Itadori's Japanese voice actor, is throwing a car, and it sounds like he's screaming with his open mouth, but the visuals are closed mouth. And so that's, there's just like little mistakes like that all over that we try to avoid as much as possible in this like speedy production cycle. So so I think going in and having the knowledge of like what's happening in the manga, an awareness of the larger context of the story and all that, I think is really important.
For sure. And a little bit of an advantage too when you have that lead time to be able to spot those tiny little
Totally.
nuances that you can improve upon in that regard. Because that's great.
Totally. Yeah, there's been
I'm sorry, my dog is just she broke back here. She thinks she's a cat.
Yeah, there's been already like lines throughout season 1 and 2 where we'll go in and the script says something and we'll be like, oh no, this is not right. This is not faithful to the source material. Like we gotta make sure we change it and keep it as intact as possible. So.
No, that's good. Because I was speaking to Bryce Papenbrook, who he voices Aaron Yeager in the dub, and I think he was telling me, I think he did read the manga, and then at some point he wanted to stop and experience it as the character. So, but is there also a place for kind of just hearing it as it comes out and just living in the character in the moment?
Totally. And Bryce is an OG. Like, Bryce has been doing it for a really long time too. And you know, there's plenty of other animes that, again, if I get cast on Wednesday and I'm in the booth on Thursday, I'm not going to stay up all night and read the manga. I'm going to be like, all right, time to trust the director and, you know, rely on my ability to be flexible in the booth. I don't feel necessarily uncomfortable doing it that way either. And I feel like I could probably do that with JJK, but I know what I have in my hands. You know, I know that this project is something really special, and I want to make sure that I'm doing as much service to the story as I can, you know, doing my part. So it's important to me to have an awareness of it in this case. But yeah, there's totally a place for the other way. And I think Bryce, I mean, obviously Bryce is amazing. So
no, certainly I appreciate both approaches, and I find it fascinating just to know from a behind the scenes standpoint how it is y'all are absorbing the story as well. In other interviews, I feel like you've had a strong opinion about anime movies. I know you love the Chainsaw. Yeah, the hot take. I don't know that maybe the Infinity Castle Demon Slayer movie was a hot take because you said that was like 6 out of 10, whereas the Chainsaw Res movie was 10 out of 10. I haven't seen the Demon Slayer one, but I can wholeheartedly agree with you on the Chainsaw Man movie, just because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you might be a fan of like filmmaking in general as well, because that movie I feel like employs a lot of live action filmmaking techniques in it. Like when we all watched the Res movie, it felt like real filmmaking techniques employed into it. Could you maybe gush on why you felt like that was such a good film?
Yeah, it made you care about the characters. I mean, listen, season 1, I think this arc probably could have been in season 1, and it would have made season 1 feel different to me. But season 1 of Chainsaw Man, it just like lacked something at the end of the 12 episodes. Actually, and I do have an opinion about 12 episode seasons.
Oh yeah, I want to get into that with you too, for sure.
At the end of the 12 episodes, I was like, all right, yeah, like, okay. I just didn't care that much about any of the characters. And so that's usually what keeps me coming back for a season 2. Performance-wise, I thought it was great. It wasn't anything like that. Some of the animation was like, just took some getting used to, but even that was like fine for me. It's just I didn't care about anyone. And then the movie came along and it was just like this cinematic, it had breadth. You cared about all of the characters. It humanized Denji. Like a lot of the stuff that happens in season 1 was kind of like shock factor is what it felt like. And it was like, okay, like, yeah, I don't know, just another thing vying for my attention. Whereas the movie allowed us to connect with the characters, and it had this beautiful story. The animation was incredible. Yeah, the performances were great. I couldn't speak highly enough.
No,
I thought it was awesome.
I agree with you on the episode count as well. I mean, you have shows like Dan to Dan recently concluded its 2nd season. I think it was also just like 8 or 10 episodes. And it's like the Stranger Things phenomenon that people keep complaining about. Like, oh man, it's kind of seeped into anime too. You get some 8 really, really well made and well animated episodes, but it's such a rare breed to have that 22 episode season like JJK, and even in live action too, because I always talk about this with my friends. Like, you miss those episodes where the characters can just be characters. People would call it filler, but like you also need to see that sometimes of just, all right, what are these people like in just their natural habitat, you know, like without anything crazy going on. And so I think that's missed a lot in current TV. But yeah, what was your opinion on it?
Well, it just gives you, like, you know, if you think about the shows that when they come out weekly, it gives you 24 weeks or 22 weeks of hanging out with this character. Well, 12 weeks is like, it just goes by so fast, you know, all of a sudden it's over and you're on to the next show. It's the same thing with Kaiju number 8. Like, I loved working on Kaiju number 8, but I wish it was 24 episodes a season. We could have totally stood to see more interactions between characters and all that stuff, just to endear the fans and the audiences to these characters. I think it's really important. We're so spoiled and lucky with JJK. I mean, it really is. It's become an anomaly. You know, I do a lot of conventions, so a lot of weekends I'm out, kind of like boots on the ground with the fandoms of these shows, seeing how people are resonating with different things, and it is different. I do see a difference when people have a long time, you know, to sit with these characters. Sure. And
I mean, it's nearly half a year if it's like a 24 episode count, and you really, that's the whole point of why TV is I think characters in TV shows resonate more with people than movie characters, because you're spending all that time with them. You feel like you're going through the journey with them,
and they're in your house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why like shipping goes much harder when it comes to shows, because you're seeing these characters fall in love rather than like you got an hour and a half movie. So what's your opinion then of like you know, not the quality per se of Demon Slayer, but like the fact that like they're now just foregoing episodes, and I think they're gonna finish out the show with just movies. Would you be opposed to something like that in the future with JJK if that was the direction it moved, or would you rather it stay in this format?
That's a tough one. So here's the thing about Demon Slayer, and why my opinion was probably not even no one should actually take it for anything, is I have not watched the entirety of the series. So gotcha. stepping into the movie was, you know, it's the storytelling style that it uses that I probably need to be warmed into. MAPPA is doing an amazing job adapting JJK. I trust however they choose to do it wholeheartedly. I think they'll make the right decision. You know, if I don't want to give any manga spoilers really, but like, you know, there's some big fights coming, or a big fight specifically if you read the manga. It's dumb because it all goes back to whatever the best business model or the best business money-making decision for them is going to be. That's probably what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much they weigh servicing the story in a way that just gets fans like so hooked versus, hey, we can make a lot of money if we make it a movie. I'm open to whatever. I just want it to be fun. I want everyone to like it. Yeah.
The conversation about movie theaters dying here and, you know, streaming taking over, there's always the anomaly of the anime movie that comes out, and then suddenly Hollywood and all these people are like, what's going on? This movie made like shattered records for an anime. Like, it's always breaking records.
Yeah.
Do you think it's just a matter of time before like Hollywood tries to find a golden goose of their own to kind of call like, oh, we're doing anime now. This is what people want to see.
Yeah, of course. I think that's inevitable. And I know for a fact that certain places are already in development on their own anime and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
I mean, look, I think ultimately there are people who are going to be like, oh man, like, of course they're jumping on it. Now it's going to ruin it and blah, 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 blah. But I also think you do need to pause and think about the fact that like even the head of DC, what is it? Is it Jim Lee? I think it's Jim Lee.
Yeah.
Just said the other day, like even DC is kind of having an awareness of like the stories that are told in manga versus like what we tell here in comic books. And he's like, oh, you know, like maybe there is something to the breadth of these stories, you know, like the wide variety that exists. So like maybe there's a shot that, you know, them realizing how popular it is might just bring some more fun stories and some more cool things for us to watch over these next however many years. So
for sure.
I think it's cool.
Yeah. I mean, like Avatar: The Last Airbender is probably as close as you can get to like a westernized anime. And that still has a fandom that's going strong.
Totally.
What would you say to folks who kind of look down on animation as storytelling, or they're the type that say, I don't watch cartoons, like I like to watch things with real people? What would you say to these folks to maybe get them to try experiencing an anime, or like, hey, like why should they watch an anime?
I mean, the beautiful thing about anime is it's made there are different anime for different age groups. So it's not all historically what we think of, you know, when we think of cartoons here in the States is like, you know, it's for kids. But over there, there's manga that are made specifically for older audiences. They have characters who are going through adult situations, real life situations, things that a lot of people can relate to. Jujutsu Kaisen is a great example of a show that would be great for somebody who's not into anime to get into, I think, because it just deals with so many heavy topics. And you know, where we come from, out of season 1 into season 2 and now into season 3, there's just like a lot of heavy stuff, but it still is fantastical. Anime has something for everybody. And it's actually, again, speaking, you know, to the conventions and stuff like that, there are a lot of families that watch together these days. And I think a lot of kids and fans of this stuff are getting their parents into it, but the parents are genuine fans also. Like, I have so many stories of parents coming to me like, you know, I never thought I would have been into this stuff. I always thought it was for, you know, nerds and all that. And they're like, and I watched it with my kid and it's amazing. These stories, and I'm talking about like grandmas and grandpas, like old people who are into this stuff, kind of discovering how amazing these stories are and the topics that they deal with, you know? So yeah, I would just say give it a shot. You know, pick something easy. Kaiju number 8's a good one. It's got an older MC who's used to, or who, you know, a lot of adults can relate to.
Yeah.
So.
I like My Hero Academia too. Maybe for people that like the superhero genre, if they hadn't made that switch over to anime yet, maybe to start with that one too. But there is more of an awakening of people thinking anime is cool now. You know, like when I was in high school, middle school, you had to like hide that you liked anime or you found the few people that would gel with you on that, and you draw characters or talk about DBZ or whatever. Nowadays it is much more widely accepted, and I think it's because you have a lot of like celebrities like Michael B. Jordan, Megan Thee Stallion, of course, coming out expressing their passion and enthusiasm. I know you've told the story before, but could you just walk me through how that all happened with Megan Thee Stallion and her song, and how you've discovered she used your audio when you heard it the first time? I just like walk me through your reaction to that too.
I mean, I try to be very in tune with the fans. I try to like, you know, I look at what the fandom is saying, what they're into, things like that. And when season 1 came out and there was that iconic line, "My name's Yuji Itadori, I'm into girls like Jennifer Lawrence," which first of all, when I was in the studio, I was like, is this real? Am I being punked? But I was like paying attention to the fandom, and people were like, oh, you know, I feel like nothing against Jennifer Lawrence, but they could have picked a taller woman with a bigger, you know. And so I was like, all right, well, I mean, what's crazy is we're dubbing it. I can just dub it myself and say something different. And so I recorded at home, and I made a little TikTok, Instagram reel that I ended up posting online, where I switched it out to Megan Thee Stallion. And when I did it, I have proof. I have receipts that I said to the cast. I was like, you know, it'd be crazy is if she used this in an opening of a song. I was like, it would be silly of her not to. Like, she's a fan, you know?
Yep. And you glazed her a little bit too. Your Grammy winner, Megan Thee Stallion too. So,
yeah.
Well,
that was the second video. So I did two. I did one, and it did pretty good numbers. So I made a second one, and the second one is right after she won the Grammy, and that's when I posted it. So fast forward to, I don't even know now, end of 24, I think, a couple years ago now. I'm just sitting at home playing video games or something, and my phone starts blowing up, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, why is everyone, what are all these notifications? And I don't have any social notifications on, so it's like my texts are blowing up, and I'm looking, and it's like, dude, congrats, Adam, congrats. And I'm like, did something get announced that I didn't know was getting announced? Like, this does happen because there's video games I worked on during COVID that still aren't out, you know? So I'm like, did something drop, you know? And I go on Twitter, and my Twitter notifications were 99 plus, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? What? And I'm like scrolling through it, and I'm like, oh my God, is that Ninja Mac at the beginning of Megan Thee Stallion song? And I was like, no way.
That's
no
awesome.
way. And I went over to the song, listened to it. I'm like, that's crazy. So my older brother works in the music industry. He has like written songs that are on the radio. He's been nominated for Grammys and stuff like that. Nice. He's amazing. So I call him, and I was like, brother, you're not the only one on the radio. And he's like, what? So that was fun.
That's a great flex. Yeah. Are you allowed tickets to, like, have you spoken to her? Are you allowed to go to her concerts for free or anything like that?
No, I wish. If I had like a UD pass or something.
Yeah,
like
I'm sure she would. I'm sure she would let you. I mean,
it's interesting because there was a moment before all this happened where KG and Ann, so the voice of Gojo and the voice of Nobara, us three were at a convention in Chicago, and she had a concert that weekend, and one of our friends is her manager. And so we had reached out and they were like, okay, we can't do Saturday tickets. We can only do Sunday tickets. And we usually fly out from conventions back to LA on Sundays. So we were like, oh, do we do it? And we ended up not doing it because all of us had sessions on Monday we had to get back for. But I do think at some point, what I would love to do is announce her live for something.
Yeah. Just wait. I mean, they'll probably get her for an anime convention that you're gonna be at, and that the stars will align, and there would be no reason not to have you do that part of the song.
I think it's possible. Yeah, two things I'm putting out there. By the way, I need you to know I'm one of the luckiest people that exist. Like when I say like, oh, this would be cool if this happened, it usually happens, and it happens like crazy. I don't know what it is.
You have a power.
My brother too. Yeah, I always say it's like a McArthur brother trick. I want to do that with Megan Thee Stallion. Like I want to announce her somewhere, and I want to be somewhere where Jennifer Lawrence is, because I am dying to ask her if she has an awareness that she is referred to in this show.
Right? I feel she's got to. I feel like she must have someone that's like, by the way, this show referenced you. Like, do you want to do anything else? We're like, whatever. Yeah. No, I would love to see that interaction between you two.
Yeah. I want to know. I need to make a video out of it. So.
Yeah. You said you grew up not in this conversation, but in other interviews I've watched of you, you said you grew up in the Bay Area and you were a fan of hip hop, and that's why you kind of had a sixth sense that this Megan thing would happen as well. Like you said, things just kind of happened like for you. Could I name some 90s rap artists and groups for you? And I'll name two at a time, and you just keep one and take the other one out. Is that okay? Is that cool? Yeah. And if you don't know them, it's fine. You can keep. Okay, I'm gonna start with Bone Thugs and Harmony or Outkast.
Oh, bro, people are gonna come to me so hard. How can I pick between those two?
Only keep one.
Okay, listen. Bone Thugs and Harmony was they were on repeat when I was in junior high, like during study hall. Like someone had the Bone Thugs and Harmony in one of the albums, and it just played all the time. First of the Month is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Wake up! Oh, so good.
I also love Outkast, but I'm gonna have to pick Bone Thugs and Harmony.
That's fine. All right, Bone Thugs or NWA.
That's like where it all comes from, or I'm gonna pick Bone Thugs because I feel like NWA was like slightly earlier than when I was being like impacted by music.
Right on. I'll switch over to artists now, I suppose.
Okay.
Nas or Ice Cube?
Again, I'm not saying who's better. This is not who's better. This is just purely the nostalgia for me. I'm gonna say Ice Cube.
Ooh.
I Ruled the World is one of my favorite songs of all time. I love If I Ruled the World. Nas is amazing. Yeah. Again, I don't want to pick, but you're me.
I am. I'm making you. Just a couple more. I promise the torture will end. Ice Cube or Biggie?
Biggie.
Of course. Biggie or Tupac?
Yeah, Biggie.
Yeah. You're big. You know, you grew up on the West Coast though, and you were an East Coast rap guy, huh?
It's messed up. No, yeah. Tupac has a lot of amazing songs, but again, like, I don't know, there was just something. I have like very vivid memories of junior high school things that are centered around this kind of music, and it was because I didn't really ever listen to it until I was in junior high, and like everybody was listening to this stuff. So like I got to go to I got picked out of my entire class to go to Great America in Northern California, which is it later became like Six Flags Great America, I think, but it's like a roller coaster theme park. But they had a whole Nickelodeon section, and if you got selected out of your class, you got to go and you got to do a game show. And get slimed and everything at this theme park. And I was so stoked to get picked. And I was the guy that got picked, and they picked a girl. And the girl that got picked, my friend Jen DeLumen, okay, she played Biggie the entire ride out to Great America. So I just have this like these memories, you know. So yeah.
I'm 36 years old, so I'm close to similar surroundings. I grew up in Indianapolis, but that was my favorite era of like hip hop and rap too. That's my old man moment, you know. It's like that was the best era, but you know, there's great stuff now too. But that was just, it felt like a real renaissance era of that genre in the 90s and such. Thanks for chatting with me with that. I wanted to show you, do you think I could show you a couple of reactions from folks that have watched the series, and just a couple of key Itadori scenes that where you show a lot of emotion? I was gonna just kind of play you the clip of their reaction, a little reactception to have you reacting to their reaction. You don't have to feel the need to like say anything about it afterwards, about their reaction specifically, but I would love to have you elaborate on the scene itself, and maybe what you had to do to kind of prepare for that sort of moment, because this is I've heard you say this is one of the more challenging roles for you, because there's a little bit of everything in JJK. Wide variety of emotional spectrums happened in season 2 alone. So it's the scene right after Sukuna lets Itadori see all his memories, and then the other one is near the end when he's walking down Mahito. And this is from reactor Dana Dubs.
Oh my gosh, he's actually seeing it all too. So he remembers. That's a lot to process all at once.
Only me! Only me! Die! Right now!
So yeah, walk me through what you had to do to kind of go to that place to experience that sort of anguish.
My whole goal for all that stuff was to make it feel as real as possible. I didn't want it to feel like anime acting, you know, like shooting for this like target and it sounding fake. So the way I approached all this kind of stuff is like, I gotta meet Itadori where he's at, you know, like I gotta find a way to relate to what he's going through. Obviously, and I've said this in other interviews, I've never leveled a portion of Tokyo or murdered 60,000 people.
Good. I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah. So it's like, how do you kind of find the headspace that he's in going into that? And so for me, you know, in those moments, it's like, all right, well, what is he feeling like at it? If I could boil it down to like the smallest little simplest form, you know, he's feeling guilt for what Sukuna has caused. He feels like, you know, he's the reason for it, and he feels like the only way out is him dying. Like in that brief moment, he feels like the only way out is like if he just is done. It was kind of living in that headspace, connecting the dots of like, and bridging the gap to like when I have felt those moments in my life, and what reminding myself like what that felt like. And you know, we've all gone through stuff like that. So it's me kind of thinking about all that, knowing what I know about JJK and where the story goes and what's needed of me in that episode, and then stepping into the booth and just kind of trusting that those instincts are going to guide me in those moments. What was tough about it too is, and this is tough with all of dubbing, is it's basically vocal gymnastics. So not only do I have to go in kind of like mentally prepared to live in that headspace and make it feel to me as real as possible, because if I feel like it's real and like it's really happening to me, then I think it's going to sound that way. But then I'm also like looking at the screen, and just from a technical standpoint, having to be very technical in the execution of the emotions, which sometimes can pull people out of the emotions. But yeah, that was a heavy moment. That whole like basically like starting there, and for the remainder of the Shibuya incident, it was me coming into the studio every week. I'm a very happy person, so I'm usually like, what's up? Like, how are you guys? Like, how's everybody doing? Talking to the engineer and director and stuff like that. And when I was doing those episodes, I was telling them like, hey, let's talk after the session. So like when I come in, like I don't want to talk. Like I don't want to say anything or get out of this headspace. But yeah, I was just heavy. At the end of season 2, I was like, I need a break from Yuji. I need to not think about this guy. It was the first time I'd ever experienced. You hear actors say like, you know, they got in too deep and they needed to take a break and stuff like that. I've always been like, all right, guys, like we're acting, like it's not real, you know. But it wasn't so much that like I couldn't get out of the headspace. It was putting myself in that headspace week after week so that it felt real, you know. I experienced like a pretty significant loss in a really sort of like very impactful kind of violent way when I was young, like 11. And so in these moments too, it's like, you know, or the moments with like Nobara and Nanami and things like that, like those feelings, it's an actor's job to let those feelings come rushing back, but it is hard as a person to let those feelings come rushing back. And then 30 minutes later, your session's over and you're like, all right, see you guys next week. Can't wait, you know, and then go be normal and then come like get back into that headspace week after week for like 8 weeks in a row. So by the end of season 2, I was like, all right, just need to breathe, you know? But of course, because I'm at conventions and things like that, it's like, tell us, was season 2 fun? You know, and I'm just like reliving it week to week, which is, I'm not complaining. It's, I'm very lucky, but yeah.
No, good. Tough. I'm glad no one asks you to do that. Could you do that scream that you do at the no? Well, thank you. I appreciate you as a viewer bringing that level of authenticity to the role. What some people might not expect from voiceover work and animation and anime in general, you bring the same level of authenticity as one would see in a film or a movie. And I know it can be harder too because you're in the booth, you're trying to line up the lip movements and everything. So I appreciate that. Thank you for sitting and chatting with me, allowing us all to experience this story with your lovely voice. Please continue to do such an excellent job, and I appreciate you taking the time once again.
Yeah, of course. This is amazing. I appreciate you. Thanks for all the great questions, and yeah, you're awesome. I like a group of asses on a nice big couch, like the normies.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much, Adam.
Thank you guys for what you do too. It's I always say, like, you know, whether you're watching the sub or the dub, the reviewing the show, watching the show, reacting to it, your guys' job is just as important as what I'm doing. We're all in this together, and we're all making the JJK experience what it is. So I appreciate you guys just as much. Thank you.
For sure. Awesome, man. We're about to watch the episode right now, so it just came out.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
See ya. Thank you.